What if I told you that 99% of golfers who are trying to turn more in the downswing are going about it the complete wrong way and actually are ruining their golf swing? Well, guess what? This is 100% true. And in today's video, I'm going to give you your downswing Eureka moment, because if you can understand this picture and you can understand hip depth, you're going to be able to rotate and it's going to transform your swing. So here's the thing. I see so many amateurs wanting to turn more in a downswing, and I get why. All the tour pros are doing it. But when they try and do it themselves, they are turning everything together. They are ripping their body open. And as a byproduct, what happens is they then swing over the top. But the issue with that is that's going to cause slices, pulls, tops, shanks, everything. So then your body tries to self-correct it. Even though you don't want it to, it then goes and early extends. So then your hips come forwards towards the ball. You're losing what we call hip depth. And that's often going to cause you to early extend, shank the ball, and it just becomes a mess. So here's the thing. Rotation doesn't come from me trying to turn my body. It comes from me pushing in the ground in certain directions. And this is where this picture comes into play. So if I stand in this little diagram that I got here, so the arrow by my right foot is pointing in the direction my right foot is pushing my body. Now here's the thing, the right foot really helps us in the downswing push ourselves back to the left side to help us with our weight shift. The other really important thing is when it's acting in this motion, it's not going to kick the knee towards the ball. So it creates space for our arms to go into. So if you understand that the right foot is trying to push ourselves towards the target a lot more, then that is going to help us with the weight shift and create a lot more space. Think of a pitcher in the MLB. The left foot, this is really the key one. It's pointing back into the foot. Now, how is this possible? Why are we doing this? Well, this is what we call AP forces. Essentially, it's pointing in the direction I'm trying to push my left hip. I'm trying to push it back. Now, if we go to the downline view and I draw a line down the back edge of my butt, notice how if I don't push that left hip back and I just push my right hip forwards, you can see I early extend. The key thing is at the top of the backswing, my right hip is touching that line. But as I come down, the left hip needs to push back to meet it, and then it needs to push even further into the line as the right hip comes off. That's how you fix early extension. It's about getting that left hip and learning how to push it backwards to create that rotation. So really it's just a pushing motion. It's not really a turning motion. That happens as a byproduct. It's a pushing motion. Now, before I bring in the upper body, I want to talk through some nice exercises that can really help you with that left foot pushing back to create the hip depth. On a quick side note, if you are enjoying today's video, then please give the video a like and the channel a subscribe. And as well as that, if you would like to find out more about my golf schools that I do down here at the Turnberry Golf Club in Miami, then drop a comment and I'll send you some information about it. So the first exercise we're going to run through is a yoga wedge. Now, we're going to work on the trail foot first, then move to the lead foot. Why? We need to make sure we can get ourselves back onto the left side early enough in order to give ourselves more time to push that left hip back. So what I want you to do is set this yoga wedge to where the slope is pointing down in the direction the arrow is going. So if I then place my right foot onto it, think of like Usain Bolt, an Olympic sprinter. They're going to push off of that yoga wedge in order to propel themselves down towards the target. And obviously we're not going to go crazy with this, but it's going to be enough to where I can clip a golf shot. And if I push my body off of that yoga wedge, you can see, look, it gets my right knee working well, my right hip working well, and it gets my low point past the golf ball. And I like to get golfers to actually hit shots doing this. So have that yoga wedge there, make a little backswing, feel like you push off and through, and you can see that's a really crisp contact right there. I got that good ball then ground contact, and that is crucial because that allows me to get back to the left side early to now do the second bit, which is the rotation where I start to push out of the ground. So now let's take that yoga wedge and let's place it on the lead foot arrow. So again, if I bring an image in of me hitting a shot from a slight angle, you can see how I'm pushing that left hip back in the direction that arrow is going. So I'm going to place that yoga wedge, again, slope going in the direction the arrow is going, so I can place my foot on it and I can use that as a propellant to push my left hip back. Now just notice, if I do a rehearsal swing from the downline view, you will, let me just get a little further away, you will see that as I do this, I'm able to get that left hip going back. That's hip depth, and that's what creates the rotation that we're looking to see. From the face-on view, you can see the right foot pushes me back to the left side, which then gives me more time to push off of it to create that rotation. And again, hit shots doing this exercise. It's a really nice exercise to help you learn what it feels like to rotate. And you can see there another really nice compressed golf shot. You can see the low point is well past the ball, and this motion is helping me get that effortless rotation. So it's coming from me just understanding how to push my feet, and if you understand where those arrows are going, that's where you're trying to push your body. So that's the first drill. Now let's go into the second drill. So for the second exercises, you need something relatively big. You can grab a 2-litre water bottle, a foam roller. I have a basket here. Now I'm going to set up to the golf ball just like so, and I'm going to place this right behind my left calf. Now the goal with this is if I'm a golfer who is not rotating quick enough, I'm not pushing that left hip back early enough, it often is going to look like this, where I early extend. Well, you can notice that left leg has not touched that basket. So the goal of this exercise is to feel like I can swing, I can go there, and I can push that leg back, that hip back, to be able to touch that basket. I love this exercise because it's, number one, really simple. Number two, it gives you a really easy way of thinking, where am I pushing that left hip? Well, I'm pushing it back. That's creating the hip depth, that's fixing early extension, and it's giving me the rotation, and it creates space for me to release the club. And also it gives you simple feedback. Did I touch it? Did I not? When did I touch it? So here's a nice little cue as well. I would like, ideally, you to touch it before you get to impact. That's a nice little cue for you. So if I sit up here, place that about a thumb width behind my left leg, and then from there I hit a golf shot. Let's see if I can do it. And you can see I touched that basket right there. I think I touched it before, it felt like I did. And again, that's just a reference point. You might touch it at impact slightly later. The earlier you can touch it, we can call it the better. But again, the key principle first is just get used to touching it, because that means you're pushing that left hip back and getting yourself into a really good position. Now, the lesson's not done yet, because I see so many people do this and then just swing over the top. Let me explain why. So the reason this happens is because they don't separate between their chest and their hips. So think of it this way. This is an amazing analogy. I want you to imagine your hips are the car, your shoulders are the trailer. If I have too much energy with my upper body, I'm not letting the car pull the trailer. The trailer's sort of just running off by itself. And this is what happens so much with amateurs, is they do get that hip rotation, but their chest goes with the hips. That's not what we want. We want to feel like, and you'll hear golfers like Rory, Justin Rose talk about keeping the chest back. But what they're doing is they're feeling like the chest does nothing, and as they're pushing that left hip back, that is pulling the core, pulling the chest around, so that when they come back to a good impact, their shoulders are relatively square to maybe slightly open. We don't want them getting ripped open straight away, because otherwise the club's going to be thrown out. So this is a bad one, this is a good one. You can see if I go to the top, I rip everything over together, versus this is a good one. I go to the top, I feel like the left hip's pulling the chest around. You can see the club comes down a lot more on plane. I get great rotation, but the shoulders are still square. So let me give you two exercises again to help you with this. So here is the first exercise to help you with this. I've got an alignment stick through my belt loops, and I've got one that's placed roughly at a 30 to 45 degree angle, depending on how much hip rotation you want, outside of my left foot. Now what I'm going to do is place the club on my shoulders with the butt end of the grip pointing down towards the target. This is going to act as like a laser pointer. My right arm is going to be my golf club. So what I want you to do is set up to the golf ball, make a backswing, and you'll see how much you're turning, which is also a nice little reference. But here's the key. I want you to feel like by the time you get back to impact, your shoulders are pointing at the target, so at where you want the ball to go, and your hips have touched that alignment stick there. You can see this has created the separation, the differential. So if I go to the top and I come down, you can see how I have to feel like my chest is super patient. If I rip my chest open, you can see I'll both go way too fast, and this is going to cause me to swing over the top. So I've got to feel that patience right there. I've got to learn what it feels like to come down to square position, and then I've got to learn what it feels like to come all the way through. Once you've done that a couple times, you can take these out and try and repeat that same feeling. So again, my rehearsal swing will look like this. I've pushed myself back, now the left hip gets pushed back, shoulders come back to a square feeling position. You might need to exaggerate it a little bit, feeling like they come back to a slightly closed position. But from there, you'll then be able to hit a golf shot just like this. And that is a beautiful little draw. I got great hip rotation, and from there, I was able to really create the space to be able to fix my early extension, fix my rotation, and have that beautiful width in my release. Now for this next exercise, I've actually got my golf bag as my training aid. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to learn what it feels like to get into this position. And often it can be really hard for golfers to create this separation. So we need, if anything, sort of like a stretch. So here's what you're gonna do. Place your hands on your golf clubs. Then from there, feel like you keep your shoulders square as you push your left hip back. So you're trying to create this separation. You can see with my hands being on the bag, it keeps my shoulders square, and this allows me to have my hips open up. So it teaches me what it feels like to get this rotation. I feel like I'm pushing that left hip back down the arrow. Then from there, if you want to take it to stage 2, you could do a backswing, come back, feel like your hands touch the bag at impact, shoulders are square, hips are open. Here and there, here and there. If you see yourself come down and you're like this, then you know your shoulders are too open, your hips are too open, you didn't create that separation. Feel like your shoulders come back to square, hips come back open. Then from there you can get rid of the golf bag and repeat that feeling. So let me do that for you right now. I'm gonna repeat that feeling, go to the top, shoulders come back square, hips are open. Right, let me now give it one last whack to finish off this lesson. That was probably the best shot yet, really nice strike. And I can feel like everything's starting to rotate, create separation. And it really does feel like I have way more space. I'm able to get the club on plane, hit tight little draws, hit the ball really, really solidly. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. This is going to be your Eureka downswing moment. If you have enjoyed it, please give the video a like and the channel a subscribe, and I hope to see you back here soon.